So welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here, for practicing today. So happy to have you here. So let's all close the eyes and take in full, deep, deep breaths. Now just finding balance within your body. And not always an easy thing to do. Sometimes we just feel like our energy is like bouncing all over the place. And it's hard to really rein it in and find that place of balance. Well, today I call this class Energy In, Energy Out. So, what I'd like you to focus on as we move through the practice is pretty much the energy that's coming into you as you move and the energy that is releasing. And we can pay attention to that energy by paying attention to the breath. Prana, vital life energy, rides our breath. When we breathe in, we take in prana, and we breathe out, we release prana. And prana has different qualities, different types of energies, I guess you could say. So you can pretty much breathe in what you need and breathe out what you do not need. So let's see if today we can really focus on how we feel moving in the postures. So, not necessarily having any kind of goal for those postures, but just letting the goal be that we keep breathing through the postures, and that we keep noticing where those nooks and crannies are that we can release something that doesn't serve us. The practice always gives us an opportunity for renewal. So let's take that opportunity tonight. Let's bring the palms to touch with the thumbs resting against the heart center as you bow the chin toward the throat. Notice once again how it feels to just be, how it feels to just breathe here. And then as we bow the chin to the throat, we can begin to blink open the eyes, taking in the mat, the floor, and then gradually the whole room as the head floats up. Now, big breath in, hands down, around and up. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, back to center, nice long spine. Exhale, twist to the left. Again, big breath, arms reach overhead, fill up, and exhale, twist right. Inhale, back to center, and exhale, twist left, bring it out. Big breath, arms back up overhead, and exhale, hands to either side of your hips, and switch the crossing of your legs. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, reach the hands in front of you, walk your hands forward, lengthen, and then just maybe the forearms come down, maybe the chin moves toward the throat, shoulders melt away from one another. We just surrender here. So, a big part of our practice is the movement of breath and body when we're really paying attention to the expansiveness of breath and the energy of that inhale and the energy of the exhale, what's being released. Let's walk the hands in toward the body, come back to an upright position. I'd like you to bring your arms forward, palms facing one another. Now plug your arms into the socket. Now big breath in, navel in and up, open up the arms and shine your heart center forward. So not to the point where you're spilling through the ribs. Keep the ribs knitted in. Think of your heart center shining forward. As you exhale, draw the navel straight back and around through the lumbar spine. Your upper spine will round, but just kind of goes with the territory. We're not making it happen. Inhale, open, expand, soften between the shoulder blades, shine the heart center forward. Keep the tailbone long to the floor, space in the lower back. Exhale, navel straight back, round through the spine. One more time, big breath, open, expand, breathe, and exhale, round. Let's bring the hands onto the floor. Your choice of rolling over the legs to hands and knees, or if not appropriate, legs to one side. And let's find our neutral cat position. Let's sit right on back to extended child's pose. Let your forearms come down. Let your forehead come down. Let it touch the floor. Seat pops up if need be. Forehead is down to the floor block or blanket. Take a moment just to notice where you're breathing. Are you breathing into the back body? Are the ribs expanding as you inhale? And is everything drawing back inward as you exhale? And what does that feel like? Pay attention to, does it feel really good? And does it feel like you're relaxing into it? Or does it feel like it's creating some kind of disruption in you? And that's okay either way. Just be aware of what's there. No judgment, just be aware. And then let's lift our gaze, lift our chest. Walk your hands forward until your forearms lift off the mat. Spread your fingers wide, lift the fingers a little bit, spread them wide, and then press the pads of the fingers back down to the mat. Lengthen the center of your chest away from the navel and up towards your chin. Feel your upper spine getting nice and integrated, nestling on your back in a really nice way. And then right from there, you can stay right here in puppy dog, or you can lift the seat, step one foot back, then the other, and lift it on up to downward facing dog. Now, if your hamstrings are tight, the back of your legs are feeling like they're having a pulling sensation, or you're shifting forward because you're too tight, well, then you bend your knees and send your hips way, way back. You can keep the knees bent the whole time if that's where you're at right now. You can work to straighten them later on, or they stay bent the whole practice, doesn't really matter. Either way, you either straighten or not, but can you keep the hips moving toward the wall behind you? Can you press into the pads of the fingers and plug the arm holes into the sockets? Don't forget that little lift of the chest is going to help integrate the upper part of your back. Shoulder blades are going to sit nicely on your back, so your arms are not taking all the weight. They're just being stabilizers for the pose. Take a full breath in here. Notice length and notice strength, but maintain an even breath. And then we'll walk our hands and feet toward one another. Once we get there, fingertips to floor or hands to shins. So coming to the shins can give you a little more height, a little more length. We press the shins into our hands to keep a little buoyancy, a little bend in the back of the knee, micro bend, little softness. Slide the hands down the legs, let your head go. Heel toe the feet apart and hold each elbow, sway side to side. So a nice way to just get the spine long and the muscles that surround the spine to relax a little bit. They hold us up all day. So sometimes you just want to let gravity just draw them down and let all that tension be released from the back body, from your face, from your shoulders. Let the tension just melt out of you into the earth where it's neutralized. Breathe. And then we'll release the hands, heel toe the feet back toward one another for your Tadasana stance. Fingertips to floor or hands to shins again. Prepare pose. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees and sweep the arms up. Utkatasana, chair pose. And then straighten and dive it out again, forward bend. Inhale, fingertips to floor or hands to shins, prepare pose. Exhale and fold. Bend the knees, sweep it up, Utkatasana, heavy heels, go deep, maybe go a little lower, but the knees are behind your toes. Straighten, hands to heart center. Inhale, hands down, around and up. Exhale, dive it out, forward bend. Inhale, fingertips to floor or hands to shins, prepare pose. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, heavy heels, deep hip creases, sweep the arms up, Utkatasana, chair pose again, and straighten. Exhale, hands behind the back, tailbone to floor, navel in and up, chin to throat. Lift the center of your chest away from the navel. Keep lifting, opening, a little mini back bend, not hips coming forward, not jamming into the lower back. We don't want that. Keep everything Tadasana alignment, ankle, knee, hip. We just come into that nice little back bend of lifting and opening through the heart center and upper back. Beautiful. That's it. Very nice. And then come back to neutral. Bring the hands to heart center. Inhale, hands down, around and up. Exhale, dive it out. Inhale, fingertips to floor or hands to shins, prepare pose. Plant the hands and step it straight back, one foot, then the other. You're in plank pose, or you can modify this. Supported plank. Release the knees if you need to. full plank or supported plank. Either way, stay there for a moment. Wherever you are, see if you can keep navel in and up, lengthening your chest towards your chin, and press into pads of fingers so we're not in the heel of the hand. So supported plank is a perfect place to be. If you're in supported plank, release the feet flat. If you're in regular plank, of course, the toes stay tucked. And wherever you're at, see if you can lower down nice and slow. Chest and belly reach the floor at the same time. Fingertips are even with your chest line as you lengthen the center of your chest away from the navel and peel it away from the floor. Now your gaze is about 2 inches or so beyond your mouth. So you're not gazing forward, you're not jamming into the back of your neck. Keep it long, but lift. Tiny little back bend is fine. Bigger back bend if you have it. We're just not jamming into the lower back, and we're not squeezing the glutes. We keep the glutes nice and loose. You may want to shimmy your hips side to side to remind yourself of that. Little lift, feel a little lift equates to a very big opening in the heart center. This is maybe all that you need. And then lower the chest, tuck your toes. You can come straight through plank or back to your supported plank, regular plank, and then downward facing dog. Breathe it in and breathe it out. Now, from your downward facing dog or from all fours, inhale, look forward. Exhale, right foot between your hands. Now, you may need to help it up. If your knee was down and your foot didn't come up, take hold behind the calf, help it up. Toenails and fingernails even. Back knee is lifted now. And then we pivot and plant the back foot so pinky toe is parallel to the back of the mat. And we reverse cartwheel the arms into warrior two. Get there any way you get there. It might not be as graceful. It might be whatever it is, it's fine. We find warrior two. Knee is over the tracking over the ankle, stacking over the ankle, tracking over the second and third toe. Pinky toe is of the back foot is grounded into the mat. So find a nice easeful place here. Find your warrior two. Now, reach forward the right fingertips. Keep pressing into the back foot and then bring your right arm onto your right thigh. Keep pressing through the right shin as you bring the left arm overhead on a bit of an angle here so that you find your supported Parsvakonasana, supported right angle. Maybe you can bring your hand to the pinky toe side of the foot. Maybe use a block, maybe not, or you stay right here. Either way, make sure your chest stays facing forward and that your left arm is an extension of the collarbone so it's not reaching too far back. Be mindful of where you need to be. Adjusting as necessary. And then right from there, come on back to warrior two. Straighten your front leg. Left hand down the back leg, right palm toward the wall behind you for an upward triangle pose. Keep lifting and opening, breathing here. And then we come on back, neutral, shoulders over the hips. Reach it forward with the right fingertips, hand to shin or thigh. And we reach, once again, left arm to the ceiling. Make sure that you have a nice extension in your front leg. So you're pressing into the triangle of your foot. Big toe mound, pinky toe mound, and heel. That's going to activate the front and back of your thigh. You don't want the knee locked though. So that grounding down keeps it straight, but not locked. So a little bit of easefulness comes about too. And then one more time, bend through the knee. We're back to warrior two. Just one more time. Hands frame front foot. Pivot on your back foot. Press through the back heel. You can release the right knee to the mat. Commit to the right hand. Put a block under there if you'd like. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, we twist toward our right thigh. So we lengthen and we breathe and we find that ability to wring out the spine, not jam into the shoulder. Back leg is really working though to keep you stable, or you can release the knee down if it's too much. Release the right hand to the mat, and then we can place both hands on the mat. Your choice of stepping back to plank, come to all fours, come to child's pose, or step straight to down dog. So you step the right foot back, you can come right up to down dog, you can come right straight to child's pose, or you can float forward to plank, release the knees if need be, and we can lower chaturanga. Inhale to your baby cobra, maybe a little bigger this time, maybe not. And then back to your plank, maybe full plank, down dog, or child's pose. Take a moment here and breathe deeply. Soften where you can and give yourself this time to notice where your breath is. So remember, it's a practice about the breath. So are you maintaining your breath as you move? Be mindful of that. Sometimes we hold our breath, or our breath gets a little shallow, or it gets a little bit rapid. Who knows, right, where it goes if we don't pay attention? But we must pay attention so that we can maintain an even flow of breath, which is energy, to stay nice and balanced. So take another moment wherever you are. And then we'll meet in down dog or all fours. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, left foot between the hands. Help it up if you need to. If it didn't get up there, you take hold behind the calf, you heel toe it up. You get it there any way you can. Pivot and plant back foot, pinky toe parallel to the back of the mat, and reverse cartwheel the arms into Virabhadrasana 2. You get there how you get there. Now, if you notice that your left knee is dipping toward the big toe, use your inner thigh or even use your hand on the inner thigh to gently open it up. This is considered what's called an external rotation, an externally rotated pose. So this leg, hip, you're actually opening your hip, but that knee must be stacked properly in order to keep it safe. Warrior 2, very important to have the knee stacked and the shoulders stacked over your hips. Gives you lightness. Now, commit to the back foot as you reach forward with the left fingertips, left arm on left thigh. We're not leaning, we're just gently letting it rest there. Right arm overhead. Long line of energy from pinky toe side of right foot straight out through the right fingertips. Mindful that you're not putting your weight into your left leg, but both legs are working equally. The breath will stay equal if the body is working in a proper, balanced way. If you're overdoing it, the breath gets labored, it gets tight. A lot of funky things can happen to the breath when the body is being challenged in a way that's not really conducive to its natural way of wanting to move. And then from there, we come on back, Warrior 2. Straighten the front leg, upward triangle, right hand down the back, like left palm reaches up toward the ceiling and then toward the wall behind you. Really important to find that lift out of the back body. So we're not leaning back, we're lifting up, center of chest, lifting away from navel, up to place where ceiling and wall meet. Surrendering into, when I say surrender, this is a hard, it sounds like, surrendering may sound like it's like, okay, just like coming into a forward bend. But when I mean surrender, I just mean to be easeful and surrender into the sensations. There's a lot of muscle energy happening, but surrender into the sensations. Come on back, neutral, shoulders are over the hips. Reach forward with left fingertips, hand to the shin or the thigh, right arm up toward the ceiling, and we breathe here. We soften here. How much space can you find? And then from there, let's come on back to Warrior 2. And then hands frame the front foot. Pivot on the back foot. You're in your lunge. You can release the back knee if need be. Commit to the right hand. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist to the left, rising the left arm up toward the ceiling. Twisting and allowing for that space. Again, not jamming into the shoulder, but moving through the rib cage. Breathe. We release the left hand to the floor when you're ready. Step it back to plank or down dog, or release both knees to the mat and rest in child's pose. Whatever feels like the right choice for you, that's the right place for you. That's where you go. So let that be where you are, where you need to be is the perfect place for you. So keep in mind that there's really no right or wrong. I mean, yes, there's right alignment, but there's no right or wrong as far as what your practice needs to be. Your practice can be whatever is calling to you today, and your energy will tell you that. So take a quick moment wherever you are in down dog, child's pose. Notice the quality of the breath And what does the energy feel like that's pulsating through you? What is the sensations that it's bringing up in the body? This is a practice of awareness, and awareness of the subtle can take us very far. Take another full breath in and a soft, soft breath out. And then right from here, let's all meet in downward facing dog just for a moment. You can hop the feet, or you can just walk hands and feet toward one another. However you get there, walk your feet to the front of the mat. Fingertips to floor or hands to shins, prepare pose. Exhale and fold. Inhale, the arms around and up, palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, hands down, around and up. Exhale, dive it out. Bend your knees and heavy heels, so deep into the hip creases, and sweep the arms up overhead, Utkatasana. You may be a little bit warm, a little more warm, so maybe go a little lower, maybe not. Keep the knees behind the toes, all with the ankles, but maybe you can sink your seat lower. Bring your hands to heart center. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist from the mid-body. Lengthen a little more through the chest and the torso, and then maybe we bring our left elbow to the top of the right thigh or to the outside of the right thigh without jamming into the shoulder. Left knee probably popped forward. Draw it back even with the right. Lengthen more, twist deeper into the mid body. So navel's twisting toward the right. That's it. Breathe. Keep those knees even. If you keep your knees even, you'll know that your hips are even. Inhale, back to Utkatasana. Exhale, dive it out. From here, interlace the hands behind your back. Lengthen, fold a little bit deeper, let the head go, and bend the elbows a bit and lift the arms away from your back body. Nice opening through the heart center, shoulder area. Breathe into it. We'll release those hands back down to the floor, bend the knees, sweep it up or back to Utkatasana. Get a little deeper, maybe. Hands to heart center. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, we twist, keep lengthening. Go a little lower, bring the right elbow to the top of the left thigh. Look at the right knee. See what it does? We deepen it back. Maybe right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. Keep deepening through right hip crease to keep the knees even. Lengthen more through the whole torso, and then wring it out on the exhale, twisting to the left. Keep lengthening, finding that space and ease. And then we'll come right down to our forward fold. Once again, interlace the hands behind your back. One more time, we fold deep. We lift the arms away from the back body. And then we release them back down. Fingertips to the floor or hands to shins. Prepare pose. Exhale and fold. Inhale, the arms around and up, palms to touch. Exhale, hands to heart center. Take a wide stance. Once again, long ways on your mat. Now, notice your pinky toes pressing firmly into the mat equally. Look for that triangle, big toe mountain, pinky toe mountain, and heel. Tendency is for the pinky toes to lift, so we have to focus on that a little bit more. Now, keep your tailbone long to the floor. Shoulders are directly over your hips for now. With the hands staying on the hips, see if you can fold from the hip crease. So just deepen through the hips, send your tush way, way back, and fold halfway. From the halfway point, look at your legs. Did your shins move back with your hips? If they did, your knees are locked. Press your shins slightly forward. Slide the hands down to the shins to help you with that. Maybe if you bring your hands to your shins, you can deepen through the hip creases, send your tush as if you're trying to make a butt print on the back wall, and you press your shins into your hands. You lengthen the sternum away from the navel, long through your spine. So a little bit of work here. Everything should feel like a nice, everything's extended, but there's definitely some muscle energy going on here, muscle work. You may stay here, or maybe you slide the hands down the legs. You can hold on to the ankles, the feet, and let yourself go. Maybe you take yogi toe lock, middle finger and pointer finger between big toe and second toe, and then the thumb wraps around the toe. That's not appropriate though. You can keep your hands on your shins. If you are holding your toes, lengthen, and as you fold, bend the elbows out to either side of the room. and not pulling away in, but let that draw you down. Lengthen your spine. Let the head move down toward the floor. Keep lengthening the spine. Shoulders are lifting slightly up toward the hips. And we soften and we breathe. And then we can release the hands. Come on up halfway. Bring the hands to your hips. A little softness in the knees. Navel and up. Press up. Use the strength of your legs and your abdominals, not your lower back, to come up to stand. And step your feet together. Shake it out. Maybe you need to after that. It was a pretty deep stretch. Shake, shake, shake. All right. Let's find some stillness. When we find stillness, what I'd like you to understand is that stillness doesn't mean rigidity. So just to show you that, I'd like you to close your eyes here in your Tadasana stance. So from your standing pose, let's find Tadasana. Equal weight in the feet. Stacking of ankles, knees, hips, shoulder, earlobe. So you gently draw your throat back to get the ears directly over your shoulders. Tadasana alignment, if you notice this when you're quiet, there's an ebb and a flow. Your body is very gently swaying back and forth, forward and back. It does this all the time. That's why in balance poses, you need to keep breathing, because the body can find its balance with this ebb and flow. When you hold your breath and the body goes into a complete place of stillness, that's when you fall out of the pose. So becoming into tree pose, and I'd really like you to focus on letting the breath happen gently. Find the alignments of the pose, but let the breath happen gently. Take another moment here. Feel the ebb and the flow. Find your steadiness in the ebb and the flow. And very gently blink open the eyes, hands to the hips. Let's start by leaning into the right foot. So when you lean into the right foot, notice if the right hip has hitched out too. Don't let that happen. Draw the right hip in toward midline as you press firmly into the triangle of your right foot, up on the toes of the left foot. From the hip, not from the knee, we open it out to the left side of the room. Now, tree pose can be pretty intense when really holding it and finding all the alignments. This hip popping out is a very common thing. When you draw it in, you're activating the gluteus medius and minimus, and it's not used to working so hard. So you're going to be working pretty much if you keep that hip drawing in. First stage is to bring the left heel to the right ankle. Some of you may stay right here, and that's fine. You can bring the hands to heart center and stay right there. Next stage would be to bring the foot to the calf shin area. Now notice if your knee has popped forward, keep it out to the side. Keep the hip open. Again, external rotation of the hip. Foot comes to the calf or shin area. Some of you might be able to take it into the inner thigh. All right, so see if that works for you. Either way, it's at the calf or the inner thigh. It is not on the knee. All right, so once you find that, take your time. If you fall out of it, that's okay. Zip up, firm in, hands to heart center. So I've given up actually trying to do the pose because I cannot balance and talk at the same time. I just can't. So I think I'm too animated when I speak. I'm going to throw myself out of the pose. So I save my balance poses for my own practice, not for these. So what I'd like you to do is focus on your breath. Breathe and find steadiness. If that means that your toes are on the floor, if your foot is against the thigh or the shin, doesn't matter. Hands overhead or at heart center or on your hips. Doesn't matter. Breathe and find an easeful place within yourself. Good. Just find steadiness within that ebb and flow. One more breath here. Then take your time, bring the knee forward, hands to hips, and release the foot back down to the mat. Maybe move up on the pedal out the feet a little bit if you'd like. Shimmy the hips around. Maybe you want to bend the knees. And then prepare for the other side. So now we want to ground into the left foot up on the toes of the right. Already when you lift up onto the toes, you might feel that left hip hitching out. So draw it in, zip up from the hip, open up. Once there, bring the toes a little closer, heel rests on the ankle, hands to heart center, or they stay on the hips. And then we bring the foot to the calf or the inner thigh and find your steadiness. And you'll fall out of it a few times until you find the right place. But once you find that right place, wherever that is, leg presses into the foot presses back into the leg. There's opposition, firming of the left hip in toward midline, zipping up through midline, lightness through the torso, lightness through the crown of the head. That's where steadiness comes from. And then moving, letting the body have that gentle ebb and flow motion that you really set into. That's it. Keep in mind that if your mind is busy tonight, that will also affect the balance. If you're not able to focus the mind, the body follows that. So focus the mind. Breathe. Another full deep breath in. Soft, soft breath out. Take your time. Hands can come back to heart center or to your hips. Bring the right knee forward and release it down. Shake, 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 shimmy it out. Whatever you need to do. Hands to heart center. Come to the front of your mat. Inhale, hands down, around and up. Exhale, dive it out. Inhale, fingertips to the floor, hands to shins, prepare, pose your choice, step it back to plank, take vinyasa, step to down dog, or come on down to hands and knees and rest in your child's pose. Take a moment wherever you are, let that be your place. Whatever that means for you. And soften and allow. And we'll all meet on our belly. So you can come there from plank and lower down. You can come on up from child's pose onto hands and knees, and then just come on down onto the forearms and onto the belly. We'll just stay here for just one moment. So we'll be moving into get-go pose, which can be a pretty deep back bend, but doesn't have to be. Okay. So what I'd like you to think about is, where do you feel your back bends? Do you feel them in the lower back? You don't want to feel them in the lower back. Are you able to create more length? So this is a pretty deep pose. So if you come into it to its full expression and you feel it jamming in your lower back, then you know you're not in it correctly. Mid and upper spine. So right here we're in a sphinx pose with the elbows directly underneath the shoulders. When you lengthen your chest away from your navel, so you're not looking for a back bend, we're just finding extension. When you just this natural shape that your body takes from being here on the floor, you're feeling this in your mid and upper spine. You'd only feel this in your lower back if you squeezed your glutes and pressed into your forearms and lifted your chest really high. So if you're just here neutral, you will feel a nice little arc in the mid and upper spine, very gentle little sensation. And that's what we're looking for. All right, so what I get to do is come on down lower, bring your chin to the mat. Oh, something just fell. It almost gave me a heart attack. There was a ghost here. It was a bolster that just tumbled. Anyway, bring your hands to the outside of your mat, high on your fingertips. So you see how my elbows are right over my wrists. So this might be it. You will feel this in your arms. You're going to feel a little bit of work here, but you don't want to feel, again, any jamming into the shoulder or the lower back. So lengthen the center of your chest and see if you can press into the pads of the fingers and just lift your chest. Now, what's different about this back bend is that you do use your arms, where most of the time we don't use them too much. So you'll feel this in your arms. Your arms will be working. So see if you can lengthen and then lift your chest a little bit higher. And if you have enough space and you feel like it's okay, maybe you lengthen a little bit more toward the front of the room, and then you press into the fingers and you lift higher. Again, I'm here. I feel nothing in my lower back. It's all my mid and upper spine. If you're high and you feel it in your lower back, you don't want to do that. So stay where you are. I'm just going to come down to show you. I feel it from here to here. So not here, not in the sacrum, not flat part of your back. It's right above that. That's where you feel it. So if you're coming into it and you feel it there, that's okay. And it might be pretty deep. I don't want to say intense because it shouldn't be intense, but it should be a very nice opening. Lengthen your chest a little more forward and you'll get a little bit of a deeper opening without jamming into the lower back. Lengthen, breathe, and then slowly come on down. When you are ready, stack the hands on top of one another, forehead on top of your hands, and you can just shimmy the hips side to side or bend the knees and windshield wiper the legs. And breathe. And then right from there, release the legs, place your hands on the floor, press yourself on up to hands and knees. Now let's take the knees as wide as the mat, crisscross the big toes. Feet to heels, walk your hands forward. Don't come down into child's pose. Instead, walk your hands over to the right. Get a little bit of a twist here. So you want to press down through your left sitting bone while you lengthen your torso over to the right. So it's like a little, it's extension and a little twist, just which is a nice way just to neutralize. Gecko can be kind of, a pretty deep back bend if you went into a fuller expression of it. So even if you didn't, this just feels really nice to do. Walk through center and come on over to the left. Press into the right sitting bone and breathe here. Then we come back to center and we can let the forearms come down, let the forehead come down. And now we can breathe and find that support here. And then take your time. Let's walk our hands in toward our body. Bring the legs toward one another. And come on, bring the hips to one side and come to a seated position. Once seated, extend the legs straight out in front of you and shake it out. Take a moment just to shake it, shake it, shake it. And then let's place both feet flat on the mat. And then place the soles of the feet to touch. Open the knees out to either side of the room. Hold on to the ankles of feet to begin. Lengthen. And then we fold forward. So extending your forehead way beyond your toes. And then we can bring our forearms down on the outside of the shins if that's appropriate, or we keep our hands on the floor also outside of the shins. I'm not a fan of holding the feet or the ankles because it brings you into this rounded position, this crunching position. So rounding's not bad, so flexion's not bad, but it brings you into a crunching position where you squeeze your shoulder blades into your chest and you round in the upper back in a way that pulls on your lower back. So you want to find extension. So center of chest away from navel, forehead beyond your toes. Then you can bring your forearms down if it's appropriate or not, but either way, then chin comes to throat, then shoulder blades melt away from one another. As opposed to this, right? All crunched and short. You're long and extended and your lower back is very happy. It's getting a nice stretch and not any strain at all. So it's all about the center of gravity too. So if you're folding from your waist, then the weight of your torso is pulling on your lower back and the lumbar spine is going to be very unhappy. But if you extend out and you fold forward, you're on the right angle. So your lower back is not going to be being pulled in any weird way. So if there's any anatomy geeks out there, what's happening when you fold properly is there's the relationship between your sacrum, that flat part of your lower back, and the sternum that I'm always asking you to lift towards your chin. When they need to be on the equal plane. So when you lengthen and then fold, they're even with one another. If you fold from the waist, then the sternum is lower than the sacrum, and that's going to upset the axis, the movement, the center of gravity. So you want them to have a nice relationship with one another, and extending the spine in a forward fold will do that. So let's just take a moment here to breathe. So we're starting to wind down, getting toward the end of class. So are you able to really soften? Are you able to feel your breath here moving into and out of the body? Give yourself permission to just be, to be right here. Take another full, easeful breath in and out. And then we'll walk our hands in toward the body. Help the legs toward one another. The feet are on the mat. The knees are up toward the ceiling. And let's hold behind the legs that are on either side. And we can just start to roll down one vertebra at a time. Holding the legs is fine or not. Tailbone lengthens towards your heels. We roll it on down and hug the knees in towards your chest and rock side to side. And big circles in one direction and big circles in the other. Nice little massage for your lower back. Let's hug the right knee in toward the chest and extend the left leg out onto the mat. Let's extend the right leg straight up to the ceiling. Flex the foot, interlace the hands behind the thigh. If it's too much for your hamstring, you can place the left foot on the floor, the knee bent. Otherwise, it can stay extended. Now, gently draw the leg in towards you. And it's a little bit of a hamstring stretch, yes. Maybe a big hamstring stretch for some of us. My goal is to get into the ankle a little bit. So just point the toe and make circles. Just like draw a little circle. And then reverse it. All right. So now, depending how much space you have where you're practicing, see if you can make the biggest circle you can. So what I'd like you to do now is keep the leg lifted, toes are still pointed, hands by your sides. I'd like you to just start to draw a circle with your big toe on the ceiling, getting into the hip a little bit here, and then gradually let the circle get bigger. Now, if you have furniture near you, of course, you won't be able to go too big. So only go as big as you can. But if you have the space, you can take it into a really big circle. And then one more complete circle. And then release the leg slow, slow, slow onto the mat. And just notice the difference, like how long that leg feels. It feels like it's just like grown like 20 inches from the other one, doesn't it? It just feels so weird. And then let that leg just kind of relax for a moment as you hug the left knee in. And then if you need to move that right leg and place the foot on the floor if it's too deep. Otherwise, see if you can extend the left leg, interlace the hands behind the hamstring, draw it in, point the toe, and again, make circles just with the foot. First the circle. And then keep the toe pointed, release the hands to the floor, and again, start to draw that circle. And it's small. Maybe it stays small, but you'll still feel it even if it's small. But see if you can make the circle as big as you have space to do. And then maybe you can let it go all the way down. I have a wall there, so my circle's a little bit off, but maybe yours is too. And then 2 more circles. And then once you've completed it, let the leg lower slow and drop it down. And then now they should be even. Now both legs have grown like 20 inches. Take a moment just to be with that space. And then we'll bring the feet flat onto the mat. Take them as wide as the mat, feet as wide as the mat, arms by your sides. And then just windshield wiper the legs gently from side to side. Whatever speed you'd like, try and do it with the breath. But if you want to just move to one side and hold, and then move to the other side and hold a little bit, feel free. But if you like to just go back and forth like the windshield wipers of your car, keep the movement there nice and gentle. And just do as many as feels right for you. This gets into the hip and the lower back. If you feel like it's too much, you can make the stance a little bit shorter. Bring the feet closer together and it won't be as deep in those areas. And then when you've done an even amount, so with whatever side you start on, make sure you end on the opposite side so you've done an equal amount. And then your choice of either keeping the feet as wide as the mat and dipping the knees in toward one another for your Shavasana, or extending one leg and then the other for your full expression of Shavasana. You can, of course, use the blocks underneath your thighs, blankets or bolsters underneath your knees, whatever you'd like. And then we settle in to what our goal was all along of noticing the breath. So now that we're still and we finished that practice, notice how you're feeling. Were you able to maintain an evenness to your breath throughout the practice? Did you notice any times when you weren't breathing fully? And just see how it feels to now be in this place, a place of surrender to your breath. And for now, needing nothing more, needing to do nothing more. Just be. And now take a scan of your body and notice if there's any tight or sticky places that might benefit from you focusing on them and directing the prana, the vital life energy, to those areas. Know that you can do that. You have the ability to direct energy wherever it needs to be. So you breathe and you move the energy to those areas that may need it. And when you breathe out, you take whatever is sitting there, whatever is keeping it restricted, stuck, and you let a little piece of it go with the exhale. So it's not a quick fix, but it's definitely something that can be done through time, through dedication of your practice, but by being gentle with yourself, being in a place of ease as you do it, no expectation. And just stay with your breath here, moving on the ebb and flow of that breath, letting your body surrender to the rhythm and being willing to let go of what does not serve or what interrupts that rhythm. Just be. And I'll be here after a few minutes to guide you out. Taking in a full, deep, deep breath here. Releasing it out completely. Just noticing how that feels. Hopefully, you feel more space within yourself, more easefulness. And if not, that's okay. And then start to invite some gentle movements into the body by wiggling fingers and toes. And taking your time, hug your knees in towards your chest. And roll over onto your right side when ready. And settle in for a moment. And then resist the temptation to open the eyes as you bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. Once seated, draw the palms to touch. Thumbs rest by heart center as you bow the chin toward the throat. And I thank you so, so much for your hard work, your dedication, and for sharing your practice with me. It was truly my honor to teach you. Namaste.